Live from the Great Eagle in Asheville, the Pearl of Carolina, it's the Travis Book Happy Hour. With special guest Graham Sharp. Happy Hour House Band featuring Julian Pinelli. And now your host, Travis Book. Yes. Thank you, Julian. Welcome you all to the Travis Book Happy Hour. Usually I have an announcer. His name's Bill, and he's from up north. But Bill couldn't make it. Bill had another gig tonight, so I'm announcing myself, which is kind of how I prefer it sometimes. Thank you all so much for tuning in at home, and thank you all for being here. Welcome to the Great Eagle. Big thanks to the Great Eagle for letting us do this. I think this might be our 26th episode of the Travis Book Happy Hour, and I can't tell if it gets easier or not, but I feel pretty comfortable tonight, so I take that as a good sign. Last weekend I had the honor of performing as the house bass player for the first ever Carolina Guitar Celebration at the Brevard Music Center. It was organized by my friends at Mountain Song Productions, and it was hosted by Brian Sutton, brilliant guitar player. I was able to perform with Brian, Trey Hensley, Jerry Douglas, Peter Rowan, Molly Tuttle, among others. One of the highlights was playing me and my guitar with Jerry. He played on the definitive recording with Tony Rice, and Tony was the topic of many of the backstage conversations. Today would have been Tony Rice's 71st birthday. Tony was a huge influence on my entire generation of acoustic musicians. We're all sort of just simply obsessed with Tony's music. I did a retrospective here on the Happy Hour in May of last year, and just this week released the first of a 2-episode podcast of that retrospective that featured John Stickley on the guitar, Sean Lane of Blue Highway on mandolin, and Lindsey Pruitt on the fiddle. If you podcast, I encourage you to check it out. It's available wherever podcasts are found. If you don't, the whole episode is on YouTube, so you can revisit it. But I wanted to start the show tonight with a Gordon Lightfoot song. Tony recorded many Gordon Lightfoot songs over the years, and this is one of my favorites of his. He included this as the closing track on his seminal record, Manzanita. It's called Home from the Forest. Neon lights were flashing and the icy wind did blow. Water seeped into his shoes and the drizzle turned to snow. Eyes were red, his hopes were dead, and the wine was running low. For the old man came home from the forest. Well, his tears fell on the sidewalk as he stumbled through the street. A dozen faces stopped to stare, but no one stopped to speak. For the castle was a hallway, bottle his only friend. As the old man stumbled in from the forest. Dark and dingy staircase, the old man made his way. A ragged coat around him as upon his cot he lay. And he wondered how it happened that he ended up this way, getting lost like a fool in the forest. As he lay there sleeping, a vision did appear. A upon his mantle shining the face of one so dear, who had loved him in the springtime of a long forgotten year, when the wildflowers did bloom in the forest. Touched his grizzled fingers, called him by his name. Then he heard the joyful sound of children at their games, in an old house on a hillside in a long forgotten town, where the river runs down from the forest. With the mighty roar, the big jet soar above the canyon street. The common life moves on, the city never sleeps. To an old forgotten soldier, the dawn will come no more, for the old man has come home from the forest. Julian Pinelli there on the fiddle. Very nice. Tony, we'll always miss Tony. So grateful to have had him, though. I never got to meet him, but I also didn't get to meet Bill Monroe, and I'm not real happy about that. So, never met John Hartford. I guess you can't really complain about these things. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to continue to do this show here at the Grey Eagle, the legendary Grey Eagle here in Asheville, North Carolina. And now that we are post-pandemic, I don't have the calendar all to myself, and I have to compete with all the other amazing acts that want to play here. It used to be I was like the only thing going on for a while there, so I could play whenever I want. But the staff here has been so supportive, and the local community continues to come out to support the show, and I thank you all for it. In 2 weeks, we'll be back here with Chris Jacobs, who's an amazing, absolutely amazing guitar player and singer from the Baltimore area. And I hope Mike Ashworth will be here. Mike Ashworth was supposed to be here tonight, but you know how that goes. He couldn't make it, but he will be here for that one. The crew here worked so hard, and they really kept the candle burning during the pandemic, and so grateful for them for that. I'm also happy to say I landed Jim Lauderdale for August 24th. That's gonna be great. Jim's a gem. I cannot wait to interview him. We'd love to have you here in the studio audience, those of you watching at home, so please make plans to join us. I also want to remind anyone listening out there that I host music of some type every Tuesday. We call them casual collaborations at Tuesday nights at 185 King Street in Brevard, my hometown. It's become an institution, and Cody Noble is brewing some of the best beer east of the Mississippi, so make plans to join us. Here's a song that I like to play sometimes, a song I made up. Brings me comfort. Lost, alone, the cost, too much to pay on your own, faith is gone, you can't find your way home, I will lead you home. Afraid day. Shame, feeling this way. Your faith is gone. You can't find your way home. I will lead you home. You've been asking for the reasons why, denying what you feel inside. I'm alright, nothing's wrong. It's a never-ending song. It goes on and on. Faith is gone. You can't find your way home. I will lead you home. Thank you. We're going to take a short break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Graham Sharp. The Travis Book Happy Hour is brought to you by Americana Vibes, purveyors of Americana music. More at americanavibes.com. You can listen to Happy Hour media partner WNCW at 88.7 FM or stream at wncw.org. If you're enjoying the Happy Hour, please contribute via paypal.me/TravisBook1 or Venmo at TravisBook. The Happy Hour podcast, available everywhere podcasts are found. Tacos are good, you know? And once again, your host, Travis Book. Yes. That's me. So I've been a fan of the Steep Canyon Rangers for a very long time, as I'm sure you all have as well. We're so lucky to have them. I first crossed paths with them when they were essentially busking on the sidewalk outside of the newsstand in Durango, Colorado. And I'll touch on that again later. So I've seen a lot of iterations of this band, and I just love them. They're one of the reasons I decided to move to this part of the country. I knew moving to Brevard I would have good friends in Woody and Mike, and it has proven to be the case. Mike Ashworth is just one of the most wonderful people and incredible musicians I've ever played with. I really sincerely wish he could be here tonight. Hopefully he's feeling better. It caught up with him, you know. It's like eventually that COVID will get you. I thought it was going to be over March 13th. I marked my calendar. I was telling everybody, I'm like, we're going to give this thing 2 years and we're done. And you know, we were really close, but it's still here. So anyway, hopefully we'll have Ashworth back here in a couple of weeks. But I digress. I'm getting off on a tangent here. The reason we're here tonight is because the Steeps have been graced with one of the greatest songwriters of our generation, and certainly one of the greatest ones of this part of the country. And he's got a unique and distinct voice and an amazing spirit, and he's a wonderful person. So please make welcome to the Travis Book Happy Hour, Mr. Graham Sharp. You want to pull up a stool, and yes. It'll make it a little more casual. Right. Get comfortable, and I'll ask you a few questions, and then we'll get to playing music For those of you who don't know how this happens, we do a little interview, and then we're going to pick a little, and then we'll do a little more interview, and then we'll pick a little more, and then we'll do a little bit extra for those of you who came to be here tonight. You got to do a little something extra for the folks that actually left their house.
That's right. That's right.
We have nothing but love for those of you who stayed home. I get it. The internet is a powerful thing. Netflix is endless. Amazon will deliver anything to your door, but it takes a special person to get out and leave the house these days. So thank you for being here. I'm gonna jump right into asking you some questions about your history. You picked up the banjo in college. You were inspired in part by Jerry Garcia and a compilation record from the Telluride Bluegrass Festival. Is that right?
This is right.
From like the 70s, like Hot Rise and Norman Blake.
I think it was 76, 77 compilation. I had a teacher at high school who recommended Norman Blake, and he came and brought his guitar and played for us some like Norman Blake style stuff at school one day. And this is the day of CD bars. So I went to the CD bar, and the only thing they had, was with Norman Blake on it was his Telluride compilation. So along with Norman Blake, and I put it in the CD player there and put it on headphones. And
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. They'd open it up for you, and you could listen to it. It blew me away. So it was exactly. It was Hot Rise. It was Newgrass Revival. It was John Hartford. It was Norman Blake. It was Doc Watson. It was Dan Crary. It was mind blowing.
When you were first getting into playing, acoustic type music, I don't want to refer to it as bluegrass because it seems to me to be sort of broader and bigger than that. But like, who were your first main influences? The bands, like the musicians and the bands that were really turning you on when you were waking up in the morning and thinking about banjo.
It was Newgrass. It was Newgrass Revival. It really was.
Amazing.
Yeah. They were. It took a while to. I think it's kind of like gateway bluegrass for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And people say that about a lot of the sort of more edgy bands today.
Yeah.
Whether it's like the Stringdusters or Billy Strings or you name it, like there's something that's a little more familiar. It just feels a little more modern.
Sure.
To something like Newgrass Revival, the way it hit me at the time.
Yeah.
So, after a brief period of getting acclimatized to that, then you're ready for like some Flatt and Scruggs or some Stanley Brothers.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That's such a common refrain where you get hooked by something either Old and in the Way or for me it was like Leftover Salmon and String Cheese Incident and Yonder Mountain String Band, that whole Colorado hippie scene. But real quickly you start to realize that like a lot of the favorite tunes of theirs that I was learning were like old Flatt and Scruggs and Stanley Brothers songs, and so you head backwards.
Yeah.
And as you're learning the craft too, you head backward.
Yeah. I know J.D. Crowe in the New South as a banjo player just hooked me really, really hard.
Yeah.
Early on, and we went to. It was very much a cultural sort of education where we were in Chapel Hill. We were in this little university bubble. But if you want to go see J.D. Crowe in the New South, you got to leave your bubble, and you don't have to go far. You have to go like 8 minutes. You don't have to go far, but you have to get out.
Yeah.
And it was just so refreshing because at that point, like I could play the banjo a little bit. So you go out to like Bass Mountain Festival, which was right outside of town.
Yeah.
And it had been like just a massive festival for years and years. The Bluegrass Cardinals were like mainstays there, and everybody had been there. But you get out there, and I'm a long-haired college kid, and first thing you know, you got a banjo, and it's like, come on, get out your banjo, let's play songs. And like it was really just an education to me, and like what folk music is and how it gets passed along like that.
Yeah, that's such an amazing thing about folk music is it really is an oral tradition, and people who are into picking love when other people want to pick with them.
They really do.
It seems like so simple, Like I just started, I showed up at a festival with a bass, and there's not enough. There's more jams than basses.
You've got 5,000 friends immediately.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Yeah.
Built a whole career on just showing up and being available with a bass, and You know, so you're. I'd say, in my opinion, in my estimation, you know, you have a reputation for being a great banjo player, but it's your songwriting that is really kind of what people know you for.
Yeah,
Or
I think that's right. Yeah.
At least that's what that's kind of the most compelling thing that you do is this composition thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the alchemy and the magic.
Mm-hmm.
How did you start writing songs? How did that how did that crystallize for you?
So, you know, when we started the band, when we started the Rangers, I mean, we were green, like really tender green at that point. And
Day-old shoots.
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing. I mean, like, you know, at that point when we were learning, like, oh, you put these 3 chords together and you got a song. I mean, like you say, it's alchemy all of a sudden. It's like, well, that's magical. This sounds fantastic. We should do this for the rest of our lives.
That's awesome.
But we had one guy in the band named Dave Quo. And Dave Quo had been in bands before in the past. And, you know, he was a guitar player. And he was kind of like, guys, you know, if we're going to be in a band, we got to have songs.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sure, that sounds easy. You know, songs, no problem. So, I mean, you just start from scratch writing songs. And, you know, if you don't think too hard about it at the start, it feels natural and it really fits, you know. And there's something about the way that my songs and songwriting has grown with the band. You know, I mean, it's really just kind of really led me as a songwriter to what I do. I'm not sure there's any way I would be doing it without having a group that goes out and does what we do.
Yeah, you were a literature major.
I was.
I majored in communications, which is like one of the softest majors you can choose, you know, because it's
And
not
you're
really
hosting a
anything.
podcast.
Well, yeah, I mean, here I am.
Yeah.
I guess check it out, Dad. It's paying off, baby. Great point, actually. But you know, it's one of those majors where you write a little bit, you read a little bit. It's all pretty chill. You know, you can get away with doing a lot of different things. But literature is kind of a hardcore major. I mean, you're in the trenches with trying to understand what writing and what makes it good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, I don't know what it's attributable to, but I feel like I had a concentration in Latin, and as strange as it is, I feel like that was the best education in it because, for one, it was my Latin teacher who introduced me to Norman Blake and the Velvet Underground and Professor Longhair and people like that, and also like just the way Latin is structured is really beautiful, like poetically. So I don't know, I hear somebody like Townes Van Zandt sing a song and like you start recognizing like kind of these structures in it. So that part of it really spoke to me.
How do you know when you're on to something?
Well, I mean, usually you don't. I mean, usually it's just like just kind of hammering away, you know. I mean, that's the most of it. And then every once in a while, something will either make you like chuckle or make you cry while you're writing, and then you're like, okay, now I'm on to something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And do you find too that stuff that's kind of sticky that you find yourself thinking about? Like if you're thinking about the song, if you're working on it as you're walking around, that maybe you're is that an indication at all for you?
Yeah, I mean, if something just keeps kind of coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I definitely work like a accrual, you know, over time. You know, I may pick out something that I was working on 4 years ago, and there's a little piece of it in there, you know.
Yeah.
But and a great thing about the band also is that like the band is this great collective memory, where like when I've forgotten songs or they've fallen by the wayside, they'll pull them out and be like, oh, remember this? And like there was something about it that somebody liked. The same thing, they remember it. So it's like almost you can like download stuff to the band a little bit.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's like the band is the cloud.
Yes, they really, really are. Careful when it rains.
What is? I need to sit with that one for a second.
Yeah, let's move on.
There's a song right there. What's your favorite song that you've written?
Wow.
Or what do you think is the best song you've ever written?
I don't know. I think I actually will do it tonight. I think my favorite song that I've written is one called "Can't Get Home," just because I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, part of it is just in the way that like that's the one that people come up and mention to me a lot, and that it people like feel a connection to it. And sometimes the connection they mention isn't anything that I had in mind when I wrote the song, but it just feels so good because you know once you put a song out there, it sort of ceases to be yours, and it's all of a sudden it belongs to everybody who interprets it, and they have it. It's their song, and however they take it, and that's one that just seems to have reverberated in that way the most.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear you say that. That
Yeah.
song has a lot of meaning for me.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. No, I mean, I have very particular places that I picture when I do it. You know, and for a lot of the songs, and you know, it helps me when I'm singing them to like put my mind in that specific place.
That's so interesting. I should probably do that more. I'm gonna take that idea.
Yeah, I'm just glad they're not all barroom songs. You know,
Yeah,
I'd get old.
Right? You gotta be careful. I've learned a lot about that over the last 10 years of just how important it is to really be mindful of what it is you're actually saying and what your choruses say. And I've dropped a lot of songs that they may have been catchy or fun to play, but I didn't love what they were saying.
Yeah.
You know, and some of those are covers in
Yeah.
particular. There's some stuff that just doesn't feel the same as it did back in 2001.
Yeah.
I can't, you know, it's not the mantra I want to be chanting.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And I mean, like, you know, you're talking about like writing while you're like processing stuff. I mean, it's not all going to be like rosy, you know, it's not only going to be rosy and pretty if you're processing everything around you. So, I mean, we've had songs that, you know, we've gotten together and played them as a band and they sound good, you know, and people in the band will be like, let's play this song, let's record this song. And then you start thinking about what the actual content of it and what it is.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't feel good at all. Let's
Yeah.
just leave that.
Yeah, like it's okay to bring those into form. I think that's a fun part about songwriting is to be, the older I get, the more comfortable I am writing any kind of song that comes up. And I don't
Yeah.
get so self-conscious. I wrote this really hokey Christmas song the other day with John Weisberger, and I love it so much, you know, but it's about the hokiest damn thing I've ever heard, you know? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Saying a lot for a Christmas song.
Oh, I mean, well, it's Christmas songs, you know, you got to go there. And 5 years ago, I don't think I could have written it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I couldn't have let myself go there. My identity would have been too tied up in it. I would have felt like, I can't put this out there. And, you know, and I don't really experience shame anymore, so that may be part of it. I gave that up a few years ago.
Yeah.
Talking about, you're sort of touching on the idea, just a couple more questions and we'll get to playing some music, but talking about like this record you made, Truer Picture,
Yeah.
is you were making jokes last night about how, you know, when you're writing, if you're writing material that's really tied to a time and a place, it can get interesting to see sort of how that holds up over time.
Yeah.
You know, and the Dusters just put out a record called Toward the Fray, and it's just chock full of what we were dealing with, pandemic, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, the shifting political climate, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's interesting as you know how it is, you kind of, things maybe feel a little less poignant, even though we're still in the midst of a pandemic, and even though the question of race and equality in this country is one that we'll ask as long as we're a country, it doesn't feel, the cut isn't quite as fresh as it was maybe while we were in the midst of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how is that for you with this project and the songs you've written on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we played last night at King Street in Brevard, and it was the first time I played those songs in maybe a year, and so, you know, for in the public. So it did feel like it was a little bit removed from the moment. But I think also by the same token, I mean, I think we've all. I mean, there's so much of us that is never going to move on from that, you know, in a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
I think you know, music for one thing, I mean, for me, it marks time and it marks moments so well, and so many of my memories are tied up in the songs, and I can tell you exactly where we were, like the first time the Rangers played this song, or the first time, you know, Woody and I sang this song together, or something like that, you know, like all these moments, you know, or even songs that, you know, you heard on the radio with, you know, you're driving somewhere
Yeah.
with the windows down and you were going to see somebody and this happened. Music's such a great way that we sort of mark all our moments.
Totally helps us organize our existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to play some music?
I like that.
Let's play some music.
All right.
We'll get Julian Pinelli back out here. Thanks. That's Graham. I got more questions for Graham, but we'll get to playing some music for a little bit here. Oh yeah, there you are.
All right, I've got a red light on this thing, which means the battery is low.
Oh, good. I have a. If it goes out, I got a plug.
Okay.
Let's just cross our fingers for now.
Yeah. What could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. What could go wrong? What could go right?
All right. This is the title track of the album here, Truer Picture. The song is called Truer Picture of Me. Goes like this. In the photograph you took on our vacation at the lake, we looked invincible, too harsh that might never break. And you and I together is the finest thing I've seen. There's times I wish we'd stayed just like that picture on a screen. And it can be our secret, what's happened in between. I only hope you still love what you see, a truer picture of me. And I try to show my good side every chance I get, so when you're looking back, the bad days fade just a little bit. Show the world the Christmas lights, all the high times, the pretty sights. Like I wish that only this were true, but sometimes a heart's too heavy to wear upon your sleeve. I only hope you still love what you see, a truer picture of me. What the hell was I thinking with a haircut like that? Looks like I combed it with a one-eyed wildcat. But what I see most clearly is the way that I'm looking at you. You never had to learn me, you just knew. And when you hold me in your eyes, I know you will not be deceived. I only hope you still love what you see, a truer picture of me. Wrong chords and all. A truer picture of me. A truer picture of me. Picture of me. Well, y'all are kind. The Gray Eagle So good to be back here at the Grey Eagle. This is just the site of so many iconic Asheville moments here that always feels good to be up on this stage. Feels good to be out there too. Yeah. Last time we were here, some dear friends were getting married. And, we were all out here dancing around on the dance floor.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. We'll do that song, Can't Get Home, right now. And yeah, a guy asked me the other night, he asked last night, and then another person came up after the show and asked me about it. He said, were you ever in the service? Because a lot of people hear this song and they think, and their mind goes to that place. And I wasn't, but I was hanging out with a fellow at the time. He was an ex-Delta Force guy, actually, and he had his drum kit in my basement. And I think part of his therapy, and I guess mine, was to come over and be banging on that drum kit and then wail away on the electric guitar a little bit. So maybe there's some of that in this song for sure, but we'll give it a shot. I know better than to cuss in my mama's house. So more than not, I just shut my mouth. And she hadn't lived here in a year or more, but I still stand a little straighter when I walk in the door. There's a fresh coat of paint on the kitchen wall. How it looked before I scarce recall. Somewhere beneath there's a pencil line. Shows how tall I stood the day I turned 9. I can't unsee what I've been shown. My body's been and my mind is blown. And I never was ready for the things I've known. I can find that house, but I can't get home. I did my first tour in '94. I was following the dead, I didn't fight no war. And everywhere I went, all the locals stared. And it felt good feeling like a stranger there. I can't unsee what I've been shown. My body's been and my mind is blown. And I never was ready for the things I've known. I can find that house, but I can't get home. Dogwoods blooming like they always did, and the roof still leaks on the garden shed. And the sign in the yard says it's all been sold, but I gave it away a long time ago. I can't unsee what I've been shown. My body's been and my mind is blown. And I never was ready for the things I've known. I can find that house, but I can't get home. I can walk in the door, but I can't get home. I can sleep in the bed, but I can't get home. Thank you, y'all. I know, you know, speaking of the COVID and the things we accomplished then, I was determined to learn one lick from Sonny Terry's harmonica playing, and that was ambitious enough. Two would have been just kind of overdoing it and really pushing myself past a reasonable limit. So I learned one, and it was a good one. And but I learned one other thing from Sonny Terry is while you're doing it, you do this thing while he's playing. He'll be playing it. Woohoo! You know, give her like one of those. Exactly. That's what happens. And it sounds really awesome when he does it. It's amazing. He'll just holler and whoop. And but I figured out what he's doing is as you're playing the harmonica in that style, you're drawing air in, a lot of air continually. So he's kind of like the quickest way to blow out all that air is the woo! One of those. So maybe I did learn 2 Sonny Terry licks after all. So anyways, here's one. This is one called Bad Apple. And I wrote it after we'd been downtown to a demonstration here in Asheville and just admiring how peaceful everybody was and how everybody was sort of looking out for each other. And I wrote this one called Bad Apple. Went downtown to speak my mind. One eye forward and one behind. Whew. I'm sorry, y'all. I just got a hold of that bad apple there. We're gonna take it from the top. Take 2. Went downtown to speak my mind. One eye forward and one behind. Looking out for a little good trouble. Looking out for that one bad apple. It's a bad apple. It's a bad apple. It's a bad apple. It's a bad apple. I don't know, but I got a hunch. One bad apple will spoil the bunch. If there's no love when you plant the seed, it'll bear fruit that nobody needs. It's a bad apple. It's a bad apple. It's a bad apple. It's a bad apple. All right. Took a couple tries, but I got there.
Found it endearing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There's a lot more endearing where that came from. All right. Such a joy playing with these guys here, you know. It's not every day we get to come out and just kind of do something in such a wonderful sort of nice mellow setting like this. It's just been really wonderful playing with you guys, and I really appreciate every little bit of it right here. Travis Book right here.
Thanks, Graham.
He worked so hard putting this whole thing together. And Julian Pinelli over here, who was just one of the tastiest fiddle players in the whole world.
Incredible.
From right here in West Asheville.
He's right there.
Right there. Shall we? one I was inspired by the passing of Robert Hunter just a couple years ago, one of the great lyricists of all time. It's called Deeper Family. Big trees above, big trees below my feet, whispering of love, whispering they know me, whispering of a deep, oh, a deeper family. A comfortable chair won't get you nowhere. Just stare as the view turns from the old to the new and shows you a scene of the secrets it keeps, a secret of a deep, oh, a deeper family. If the story gets told, it'll never grow old. It just rolls on and on and on and on like a leaf in the fall, doing somersaults down the street in the breeze, laughing by the deep, oh, a deeper family. Big trees above, big trees below my feet, whispering of love, whispering they know me, whispering of a deep, oh, a deeper family. There's a deep, oh, a deeper family.
I got some more questions. Do you mind if I ask you a few more questions?
I bet after that you got a few more questions for sure.
Yeah, I definitely need some things cleared up. Yeah, let me ask you a few more things here.
All right.
take a couple more minutes to really
Get our,
give you an opportunity.
get our pondering stool here.
Yeah, see if one of us can really put our foot in our mouth. It's bound to happen eventually. So you learned to play with your bandmates, the Rangers. Like you said, you were green when you started, and that's an enviable place to be, to start as a band together.
Yeah.
What was it like early on?
I mean, it was great. I mean, first we were in chapel. I mean, the music notwithstanding, it was great. But I mean, we were in a fantastic spot. I mean, we were in Chapel Hill in college at the time, and we had all these buddies, and so I think the first show we played, maybe we knew 8 songs, maybe we knew 6, but it was at like our favorite bar in the line when there was like a line out the door, and you play 6 songs on a cycle for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Just getting it.
It's Foggy Mountain Breakdown. G! E! No, E minor!
E minor. So you started out gigging right away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like you had a band, and you're like, we should.
Didn't seem like there was any reason not to. Yeah.
No, I mean there's free beer at the gig.
Indeed.
Right? You can
Chili
pick
cheese
pick
fries.
for yourself, but then there's not as many chicks there, and there's no beer.
Well,
So
yeah,
you
I
might
mean,
as well
and,
start playing for
you
people.
think like in a band, I mean, yeah, a lot of people get into it for the girls, but we quickly discovered it was the bluegrass band, and we were in the wrong kind of band.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Story of my life.
Yes.
Man. So you're gigging. That's amazing. I read "Olden in the Way" was something that you latched onto early on. That was a revelation for me too.
Yeah. I mean, Garcia. I traced that to like Garcia for sure. But I mean, you go back and listen to that now, and it's still just so wonderful and so traditional, but also has this just sort of loose, sort of wonderful quality to it. I mean, it's high lonesome. I mean, you got Peter Rowan singing and Dog playing this way that, is Monroe, but is, Monroe stoned, and it's just so good.
Well, yeah, and Vassar's fiddle playing, which is like it's like the entire universe.
It really is.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Everything you can imagine. The full psychedelia and also just like the keening tones. They're all in there.
Yeah, Vassar was, so many of the favorite albums that I have, have Vassar's fingerprints all over them, and I know it's like that for everybody in bluegrass. I mean, he just was such a unique stylist.
He really was. How long have the Rangers been a band?
I would say at least 20, maybe 22 years.
Yeah, because very. Can we get a hand? Give a hand for the Steve Gaynor Rangers. I mean, it's remarkable, being a band for more than a week is really hard. Most bands don't make it a year, and my band's I think mine's going on like 17 years.
It's amazing.
Now.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like, when we started, you guys were so established.
So established.
But it's kind of like you had gigs.
We had gigs.
You had gigs. You had an RV.
You had a van?
Yeah, you had a van and an RV. I mean, you were a big deal. It's kind of like when you're a 5-year-old and you have a baby brother. You seem so disparate. But the older we get, the less, the more we have in common. We're almost becoming like middle-aged siblings where we've shared a lot of the same experiences.
Which is interesting because still like, as a musician and a player, I see how far we've come and how well we've done and how much music and the support of people, both other musicians and professionals, and also, especially fans have like enabled us to have a life and support our families, and it's just so much to be grateful for in that. And yet, like, just still hungry.
Yeah.
Not literally, but still hungry for the music and to just keep pushing and keep getting better, and still feel like I'm looking at it with that young man's attitude of like, still us against the world, and we're gonna go out and show them this time. Yeah,
and you make this. You go to a lot of trouble to be in a band and to make up songs and to make recordings, and it's a big risk. There's a lot of overhead. You're away from home, and so you want to take it to the people, and it's always I still have that too, and we still have that where you know, we want to play for more people. I think for all the right reasons. You know, just because we feel like we're going to all this trouble, we might as well be playing for folks.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to stay hungry for it, even after 17 to 20 years.
I know, and it feels better. It feels better than ever right now. I'll say, you know, doing it. It really, I can't think of a time I've enjoyed playing music more than I do right now.
I'm so happy to hear that. I hope that we're still doing this in 20 years.
Indeed.
You know.
Yeah.
So I touched on this earlier, but I do want to take a solid walk down memory lane. I did meet you guys first. I calculated it was 2002, and you were in some type of an RV. You were busking at Magpie's newsstand in Durango.
Okay.
And I begged you to come stay with me, but I was a complete wook in those days. I had very long hair. I did not take good care of myself. I had a neck beard, and you turned down my offer, and you were probably right to turn down my offer. It wouldn't have been pretty. My home was not fit for company.
Well, I mean, we were just staying with David Smith.
Yeah.
Know, so, I mean.
David's been texting me all day long. He's so excited about this. But it's funny because not long after that, you guys went on and won the Rocky Grass Band Contest.
Yeah.
And my friends and I, my buddy Anders Beck and I had come across Andy Thorne, banjo player from the Chapel Hill area. He was still in college. He was on a ski trip out there, and he accepted my offer to come stay at my apartment because I told him I'd show him around the ski area for a couple of days and ply him with whiskey. And we ended up playing music for 3 days straight and skiing, and when I gave him the pitch to come back to Colorado to play with us in the summer, I said, look, man, this is what we'll do. We'll get a band together. You can bring a guitar player. We've got a mandolin player, Anders. We're stuck with Anders. He's in the band. He's a dobro player. He's going to be in the band. I said, but we'll win this Rocky Grass Band Contest. And I said, and I know you'll win the banjo contest. I said, at the very least, you'll be walking away with a J.D. Crowe banjo for all your trouble.
Which he still plays.
He still plays. He's broken the neck off 9 times.
Yeah.
But he still plays it.
Yeah.
And we did. We literally did. And part of why we had the hubris to think that we could do it was because we'd seen you do it.
Yeah.
And we'd seen what it had meant for you, that a little event like that could really help sort of galvanize your group and give you opportunities out in Colorado, which is, you know, North Carolina is kind of the home of bluegrass, but Colorado is the home of newgrass.
Yeah,
and it has the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, and there's a certain energy around the music out there. We like to joke in the jamgrass world that as Colorado goes, so goes the rest of the country. Those people tend to be... Yeah. Like, you know, Billy Strings blew up there before he blew up anywhere else. And the Stringdusters were playing to 500 people there before anywhere else. And your success at that Rocky Grass contest, I think, was really inspiring for us.
I mean, you know, for me, I don't know if it was that original Telluride CD that I first learned off of, but I mean, I'll tell you what it was. In '97, I think, Olden and Jerry had died a year or two before, and Olden the Way was having a reunion at Rocky Grass, and Charles and I and a couple, maybe it was just Charles and I. No, we met. He was on Fish Tour. I drove out there with somebody.
My man.
We met on a dirt mound outside of Rocky Grass.
That's where you meet.
Yeah, we had this all planned out.
Heady times, man.
And so that was like a pilgrimage, and we did that year after year after year, and eventually, you know, at that time we weren't even playing, I don't think. Maybe we had just started. But I mean, we made that pilgrimage year after year to Rocky Grass, and that felt like kind of our natural home out there, and still does.
Yeah, it's still such an amazing place. Planet Bluegrass.
Yeah.
Out there along the St. Vrain River.
It's the best.
It's really magic. All right, I just got a couple more. This is kind of the lightning round. Now, don't feel like your answers though have to be short. But It's time to buckle down. It's a very short lightning round tonight because I just want to get back to playing music. But if you could talk to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Wow. Keep the faith.
That's great. That's great. What color is your front door?
Reddish orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Mine's red.
Yeah, reddish orange.
I didn't pick it.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
I picked mine.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hadn't changed it yet. It's nice.
It's a strong color.
It's easy to find.
Easy for the Amazon delivery person to locate. Why? Okay, this one isn't really a lightning question. Why do you do this? And what's the point for you? Like, what's your mission?
Well, I mean, first it just fell in love with it, you know, and I mean, we got into this just absolutely dumb luck, you know. I mean, we had a group of guys who loved doing this and loved doing this together, and you know, I mean, none of us thought we'd be doing it for any period of time, you know, and I'm sure our parents were like, yeah, I could go for a year and play in this band. It's fine. I won't say anything.
Seems harmless.
Yeah. But I mean, and now I just feel like it's just so much part of my DNA. I just love to create. I mean, the creation part is what I enjoy the most, you know. Yeah. I love getting out and playing shows and doing all that, but really like where I get my energy from is the creation part of it. But yeah, I mean, looking now, I mean, it looks like such a inevitability that we ended up here, you know, after so long. But I mean, there's just so many places where it could have gone weird, and so many little encouragements that we had along the way that's all it took, you know, or just one little step, and you take one more little step, you know, and then something breaks, and you know, it's your life, and you're still amazed every day.
Yeah, you're right. Eventually, you get to a point where there's kind of no turning back.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? There's no turning back.
I think so. I think you're past the point of no return.
You're right.
There's no plan B. Couple more questions. What do you hope for?
You know, I hope for to be able to sort of grow in such a way that, you know, gives us time to both play music and do that, and also be here at home a bit more, and just sort of, I don't know, really kind of grow into my relationship with my wife and my kids and stuff like that, which I'm fortunate it's been so wonderful for so long. But you know, I just hope for the health and the good luck, you know, career-wise, to be able to do that. Yeah.
Is there anything, generally speaking, is there anything that you're afraid of?
Just sucking.
Fear of failure.
Yeah. Okay, we'll say that.
That's what your therapist would be like. Are you talking about a fear of failure, Graham? That's a good safe thing to be afraid of. I'm not really into snakes. I was working on my kitchen the other day, and we were in the crawl space, and there was a 6-foot rat snake down there. You know, but but I don't have mice, so I'm kind of like, you know, because it eats them all. So I'm like in a little bit of a predicament. Mice or snake? Mice or snake? You know, I can't decide.
Yeah, I think snake stays.
Snake stays. That's right.
Yeah. Because he won't surprise you the next time. You're more scared when the snake surprises you. If you know the snake's there.
You know he's there, and you just got to keep all your hatches buttoned up so he doesn't come hang out behind your refrigerator. Yeah. Last question. You know, this is the happy hour, and it's not for drinking. It's a question of what is it that makes you happy? I
mean, I feel like the balance makes me happy. You know, when I feel like things are going well, you know, with the band, professionally, at home, you know, in so many different ways, you know, that balance can get thrown off. But, you know, when everything feels in balance, there's just like, I don't know, I have so much to be grateful for and that I'm fortunate to be around. So, yeah, that's what makes me happy.
Yeah, man, and you live in Asheville, North Carolina, so you got no complaints.
Yeah.
All right, that's Graham Sharp, everybody. Let's play some more music.
Thanks, buddy.
Actually, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a short break for our sponsor. I mean, yeah, you know, I'm the main supporter of my show, yes. But I did want to say, do a little ditty here. The Travis Book Happy Hour is supported by Thompson Guitars, makers of fine instruments, handmade with love in Sisters, Oregon, played by some of the finest players on the scene, including Molly Tuttle most of the time, and Billy Strings. You ever heard of him? You can view this and every Happy Hour episode anytime at thetravisbookhappyhour.com, on YouTube. Select recordings from Season 1 are now available everywhere you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music. I think It's an 18-track compilation. We're working on the second season compilation right now. I'm working diligently on it as we speak right now. Hopefully that'll be out before the end of the year. Happy Hour returns June 22nd with Chris Jacobs. I talked about him earlier. He's fantastic. Really hope you can join us. Incredible spirit, great soul, wonderful singer, great guitar player. It's going to be a great night. And now, back to the show.
This machine hooked up here. Said last night we're gonna have to get a barber in the house. We're gonna have to cut this thing out of my beard by the time this song's over here.
Just move slowly.
I know.
A little beard oil in there.
It's gonna be painful.
It's Asheville. There's got to be beard oil within like 30 feet of you right now. Someone's got it in their pocket, I guarantee you.
This is another song born of COVID here. You know, we never in 1,000 years would have taken a break from traveling hard and playing hard, you know, as long as we did. And there was a lot to be grateful for in that. You know, some silver linings. And here's a little one along that line. 2, 3. Visit my island, rest in the silence I've made. Beaches I've walked where I've waited through numberless days. Leaving news from the mainland, back where it came from. No need to tell me, it's always the same. Come visit my island, rest in the silence I've made. Friends from the old days have gone their own ways far and wide. Some walked a straight line, some couldn't walk straight if they tried. So wherever this finds you, let this letter remind you there's always a place to leave it behind. Come visit my island, rest in the silence I've made. Silence I've made. Beaches I've walked where I've waited through numberless days. Leaving news from the mainland, back where it came from. No need to tell me, it's always the same. Come visit my island, rest in the silence I've made. That anymore.
Hope it's okay. I'm gonna do a song now.
Yes,
mix things up just a little bit. This is a song I fell in love with years ago when I heard Sean Camp sing it. It was written by Sean Camp and Guy Clark. One of the saddest songs I know. It's called Magnolia Wind. Like a bump on the street, and in a fine feather bed, without your little old cold feet. I'd rather be dead, dumb and stone blind, than to know that you're never be mine. Well, I'd rather not walk through the garden again if I can't catch your scent on the magnolia wind. If it ever comes time, yeah, it comes time to go. Sis, pack up your fiddle. Sis, pack up your bow. 'Cause if I can't dance with you, then I won't dance at all. I'll just sit this one out with my back to the wall. Well, I'd rather not hear pretty music again if I can't catch your fiddle on the magnolia wind. I'd rather die young than to live without you. I'd rather go home and eat lonesome stew. It's once in a lifetime, I know it won't come again. It's here and it's gone on the Magnolia Way. I'd rather not walk through the garden again if I can't catch your scent on the Magnolia Way. If I can't catch your fiddle on a Magnolia Way. Thank you. I love that song. Well done, Julian. Catch that fiddle. I want to thank you all again for being here tonight. Appreciate it. The Gray Eagle, the legendary Gray Eagle, Asheville, North Carolina. And now more banjo. I've been waiting for that banjo, baby.
I told the folks last night a little bit about this banjo, and I'll tell you too, because it's pretty cool. I've been playing this banjo for about 22 years now, and it doesn't belong to me. It's a friend of mine's, and we first met. Steve Canyon Rangers were playing a rather major engagement at the time on my parents' back deck in Greensboro, and it's kind of a big deal in the Dunlin Square neighborhood over there. And anyways, a woman heard it from across the lake, and she got in her car and drove over and found us, and came to me after the show and said, my husband collected banjos for years and years, and he just passed away just a couple months ago, and I've got all these banjos sitting in the house. Would you like to come take a look at these banjos? I'd love to hear you play them. And so I did, and she was kind enough to let me take this one on the road. It's a 1928 Gibson Granada. She was kind enough to let me take it on the road, and that was 20-some years ago now. So thank you, Becky. I love playing this banjo. I know you love hearing it. So here's a little tune called Coming Back to Life. I can hear his stomach rumbling through his ceiling to my floor. Sounds just like a 2x4 he's cutting with a steak knife. It's a noisy, messy business, this coming back to life. I'm sitting in my kitchen, hoping for something new. It's just myself, I'm kidding, most anything would do. I blow imaginary smoke rings with my imaginary pipe. Keep my mind on a sweet thing, keep coming back to life. So about 200 yards from here, there's a little park by the French Broad River. And some years ago, I was down at that park with my son, and he was just a little guy. There was a fella sitting there, an older gentleman, and he had a pack of crackers, and he was surrounded by birds all around him. He had crows, mostly crows, but pigeons and you name it. There's only two kinds of birds I can identify, so lots of other birds as well. But my son was entranced, being a young fella, and so he went up to this fella and started talking to him, and it turns out his family had a long connection to the aviary pastimes. His grandfather had owned a gas station outside of Candler here, and he swore that his granddad had a crow on a little perch next to the cash register there. And he'd keep this crow on a perch, and he swore that his grandfather had cut this crow's tongue right down the middle, and it enabled the crow to speak English just like you and I, possibly even better. And that really stayed with me. That experience. What it stayed with me even more was possibly my failings as a parent for letting my son sit down next to him for an hour and throw crackers to the pigeons, but it's all worth it when you get a verse out of it, so. Big crow by my windows got breakfast in his beak. An old man once told me he could teach a crow to speak. He spends his hours on the park bench now since he lost his wife, feeding crackers to the pigeons, keeps coming back to life. I'm sitting in my pajamas, hoping for something new. It's just myself, I'm kidding. Most anything would do. I blow imaginary smoke rings through my imaginary pipe. Keep my mind on a sweet thing, keep coming back to life. All right, Julian. Kick the habit of walking in my sleep. I kept a picture in my head that kept me light upon my feet. The reaper right behind me, twirling his scythe, cursing this damned old world that keeps coming back to life. And I'm sitting in my kitchen, hoping for something new. But who the heck am I kidding? Most anything would do. I blow imaginary smoke rings with my imaginary pipe. Keep my mind on a sweet thing, keep coming back to life. Keep my mind on a sweet thing, keep coming back to life.
Yeah, I mean, we got a banjo and a fiddle, and they go together like peas and carrots, as they say, so we might as well hear them do their thing. Ain't nothing quite like a banjo and a fiddle.
waiting for a show. And someone dumped the trash where the trash ain't supposed to go. And the boss is on the phone, that's just what kind of day it is. It's gonna take all morning just to deal with all this mess. A storm is rolling in, you can feel it in the air. St. Christopher, come sweeping down and get me out of here. The satellite is out and the single wide again, keeping all the news from outside from creeping in. And I'm looking out my window for something I could do, but the picnic table's rusted and the razor wire is new. The puddles in the parking lot are dirty and they're deep. If I could dream myself back home, I'd try to get some sleep. There's a palm tree made of plastic leaning on the kiddie pool. It probably looked fantastic way back when it was new. And the folks around here keep keeping on in spite of all this noise. Makes me wish I was back in Asheville where I'm just one of the boys. Instead I'm up in Watertown waiting for the show. And someone dumped the trash where the trash ain't supposed to go. Oh, thank you. What are we gonna do? Any of y'all ever listen to 103.3? You may listen to 103.3 FM here. I do sometimes. I don't all the time, but I do sometimes. And they have some wonderful stuff in there. They have some very educational stuff on there, and occasionally stuff that just will just bore you to death. But you know, I'm sure somebody thinks what to each their own.
I like to say there's no accounting for taste.
There is no accounting for taste. But there is one person on there that, actually there is no accounting for taste because my daughter hates to listen to this show. It makes her uncomfortable. But I love it, and he got me through portions of the pandemic when I was writing this record, and comes on maybe Wednesday morning, maybe Thursday morning, could be Tuesday. But he's so good. He gets on there and he has this great, gigantic laugh, and it makes you feel so good when you hear it. And he says, you got to get up in the morning and hug that skin suit you're in, and you got to kiss yourself, and don't be nervous. Don't be worried, and don't be nervous. And you got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. That's what he says. And he does it. And he'll do it for about 2.5 hours every Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday morning. Again, it's probably Friday. It is, isn't it? Yeah. And I thought I'd write a song called Love Yourself. Well, the hardest thing is to love yourself, 'cause nobody else can do it for you. And the very first thing is to love yourself. And then there's nothing that you cannot do. A couple walks with separate burdens, one with grief and one with shame. They hardly recall why they're hurting. Oh, but they're hurting just the same. 'Cause the hardest thing is to love yourself, 'cause nobody else can do it for you. And the very first thing is to love yourself. And then there's nothing that you cannot do. She could not see it any clearer, all the beauty that her soul reveals. But looking into that cold, cold mirror, what she sees just doesn't match the way that she wants to feel. 'Cause the hardest thing is to love yourself, 'cause nobody else can do it for you. And the very first thing is to love yourself. And then there's nothing that you cannot do. When fact and fiction fall together and benediction falters in your throat, when all your connections come untethered, wrap forgiveness all around you like the warmest winter coat. 'Cause the hardest thing is to love yourself, 'cause nobody else can do it for you. And the very first thing is to love yourself. And then there's nothing that you cannot do. No, there's nothing that you cannot do.
Thank you so much. We'll take one more short break for our sponsors. We'll be back with a final song.
somebody got kicked out of Wendy's one time, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We did have to escort somebody out. But she earned it. She tried really, really hard. And she earned it. You guys want to do a little banjo? A little guitar? Yeah, it takes a lot to get kicked out of the Travis Book Happy Hour. We do appreciate enthusiasm, but I'm sure when I go to edit the Tim O'Brien episode, I'll be working on editing out a lot of audience participation on that one. Anyway, bless her heart. T-shirts sporting the Happy Hour motto, "It's okay to be happy," available now at thetravisbookhappyhour.com. The Travis Book Happy Hour is written and produced by Travis Book. Sound engineers Andy Eubanks. Video produced by John Zara and IMAVL. Happy Hour is made possible through the generous support of viewers and listeners like you. I'm talking to you. You can contribute anytime at paypal.me/TravisBook1 or Venmo Travis Book. The entire Happy Hour family would like to thank you for your support. And now, back to the show. Thank you. Well done, fellas. That's exactly the vibe I'm looking for right there. That's it. That's it. All right, we're going to leave you with one final song. And we appreciate you being here. Big hand for Julian Pinelli down there on the fiddle/violin. And of course, Graham Sharp, tonight's guest of honor.
Travis Book, your host, everybody. Down in the basement of an empty house, selling darkness is an easy pitch. Passing a torch, long burned out, hoping nobody flips the switch. Cold cinders in my hands, cinders in my pockets, God help me, I remember the flame. Well, the warmth of the embers was gone when I got it, but I got it just the same. And it's just too far to go in these hand-me-down shoes. The generation blues. My father was a general, pain in the ass, and I was a private disgrace. I must have huffed a lot of chemicals, polishing the brass, 'cause I never could act my age. Yeah, quiet boys, fly boys, look you in the eye, boys, talking how the war was won. A black and white photo of the soda pop king, grinning like a son of a gun. And it's just too far to go in these hand-me-down shoes. The generation blues. Salt and go make it on the avenue. I got a key in my hand, a key in my pocket. I'm looking for a room with a view. Well, the door's unhinged and there ain't no lock and no telling now who's coming through. And it's just too far to go in these hand-me-down shoes. generation blues. Well, the trash got tossed while I was sleeping. Look what these kids can do. What's lost wasn't worth the cost to keep it, so let's just start anew. I got nothing in my hands, nothing in my pockets. I threw away the little was left. Well, if you ain't tried it, don't try to knock it. There's better things up ahead. And it's just too far to go in these hand-me-down shoes. The generation blues.
Thank y'all so much. Thanks for tuning in at home. We'll see y'all back here in a couple of weeks for Chris Jacobs.